Does Devin Haney have all the tools in the shed in order to dominate his peers, or is there a missing link in his arsenal that could potentially pose issues when he faces and if he does face off against the other exceptional young talents in and around his weight division? Let's break it down, but before we set up shop, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts plastered in the comment section below. Now let's begin. There's no question in regard to Haney's boxing capabilities. He's definitely a smooth operator with the fantastic jab, hand speed, and accuracy. His defensive game is also on point, and he stays composed under pressure. But in his fight with Linares, although a clear win on the cards, the fight itself told us a lot about the young fighter. When Linares clipped Haney at the end of the 10th, Haney took a significant amount of time to recover, and at that, he got hurt once more in the 12th, although not nearly as bad. Sure, he showed composure and was able to keep himself safe by clinching for most of the remaining 2 rounds after he had gotten wobbled, but could he have survived if that punch came much sooner in the round than when it did? Say it happened in the first opening 30 seconds of the round, would Haney have survived? Also, Linares seemed tired in the 11th, thus he wasn't able to push on the gas and keep Haney from clinching in order to slow the recovery, but against a younger, fresher fighter, such lengthy recovery time may not be as easily granted to Devin. Now, Haney isn't the only young fighter to have gotten hurt in his first solid test or step up. For instance, Luke Campbell dropped Ryan Garcia in their fight, and that wasn't a fluke or a flash knockdown, but Garcia bounced back and shook it off, returning fire with deadlier force. Another interesting point to note is the fact that Haney never seemed to have bothered Linares with his power shots, and leading into this fight, all 5 of Jorge's losses were via stoppage. Sure, they were against slightly heavier handed fighters, but at that, aside from Lomachenko, they were all very crude and rudimentary fighters, meaning Haney's timing, accuracy, and punch selection easily eclipsed 4 out of the 5 fighters that had previously stopped Linares. But even though Haney hit Jorge with everything, including the kitchen sink, Devin wasn't able to bother the talented but relatively fragile veteran. What does this all boil down to? Well, my concerns consolidate into 2 questions. First, does Haney have sufficient power to keep fighters like Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, and Gervonta Davis honest and at bay, or will his punches get shaken off as he gets walked down? Second question, will his apparent poor recovery time pose an issue in a fight where his opponent won't allow him to clinch to recover? If any of his aforementioned peers sense even the slightest of buzz from Haney, they are all known as excellent finishers and would be ready to jump in and make it a short evening for themselves. If Haney's clinching doesn't work against his fellow peers and he's struggling to recover and gather his wits, his best bet would be to go out on his shield and attempt to clip his opponent in between exchanges. But if his power is as limited as theorized, it could also prove futile, and he'd simply be giving them an even bigger window of opportunity to stop him. Now, I'm not saying there's no hope for Devin in those fights. I'm simply pointing out that if my observations are correct, he needs 100% focus throughout every single second of every single round in order for him to pull off those wins. Something that may prove difficult because Haney can get comfortable in the ring at times, especially because of how easily his innate talent allows him to rack up rounds. But that comfort could also prop forth catastrophe and potentially propagate him a loss. I think he has a solid chance of beating Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis, but even those fights are very far removed from the word easy, especially because although both Garcia and Davis have flaws of their own, their fighting spirit coupled with speed and power could very easily flip a good scenario for Haney on its head. On the other hand, like I've stated on a previous video, I don't see Haney being able to get past Teofimo Lopez at this point in time. I think Lopez is far too sharp, explosive, and composed for Haney and the level that he is currently at. Teo's methodical pressure would make things uncomfortable in there for Haney. Just look at what he did to Lomachenko the first 6 rounds. Again, levels. On the other hand, I think his best bet is against Gervonta Tank Davis. Reasons are because of the difference in size. Tank is quite small in comparison to Haney, and Haney is a big lightweight at that. Also, although Tank's power is concussive at super featherweight, he has yet to impress at any weight division north of that. To make matters worse for Davis, he can get outboxed. If Leo Santa Cruz was able to outwit Davis throughout most of their fight until the knockout surface, could you imagine what a truly gifted talent like Haney would do? Either way, folks, those are just a few thoughts and my opinions on the situation. Questions remain, and they will continue to sit unanswered until Haney or his fellow talented counterparts step up to the plate and we get to see those fights. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more content to come. Like always, it's Shay at KMB, signing out.